11, Arizona College Hoops tip-off. 14,644 expected here, and Tito's in town. They must have known that you were here. Terry Francona played here for the Wildcats. Justin Kutcher alongside Donnie Marshall. Casey Jacobson, he bailed on us. He's getting ready to broadcast the game. He's got some other work. I don't know what's going on. But Donnie, this is when the fun begins. As they turn out the lights, they get set to introduce their Wildcats. Again, they've lost twice here in the last 5 years.
But they remember Colorado beat them earlier in the season. So important if you're a coach to remind your guys that. Now, you hope and you understand and you believe that you put your players in the right situation playing at home to not take Colorado lightly, but it helps that you've lost to them already. So I expect this to be a very physical game. I expect this to be a game that Arizona cares a lot about. You know, they see 11 in front of their name. I guarantee you they believe they're a much better team than that, because I guarantee you everyone in this building believes that as well.
Well, everybody in this building has their attention turned to the Jumbotron right behind us as they are waiting for starting lineups for their Wildcats. They already turned their backs when Colorado was introduced. They are waiting to erupt when their Wildcats are introduced.
I think it's interesting. Every student in this building knows that they've only lost twice in here in the last 5 years. And they're going to make sure that they keep their team on the winning track tonight.
Well, we're here for College Hoops tip-off. Enjoy this atmosphere right now, okay? Because this is what College Hoops is all about.
This is about as good as it gets right here, Coach.
Number 3, Dylan Smith. At forward, a 7'1" freshman from Nassau, Bahamas. Number 13, DeAndre Ayton. At center, a 7-foot senior from Novi Sad, Serbia. Number 14, Dusan Ristic. And guard, a 6'5" junior from Seattle, Washington. Number 35, Alonzo Trier. The head coach of the Wildcats is Sean Miller, and his assistant by Lorenzo.
All right, well, that will do it for us. Donnie and I will see you at the half, but right now, let's send it over to the guys calling the game. Aaron Goldsmith, Casey Jacobson. Boys, have some fun.
Problem tonight, Justin. Thank you guys so much. This is really one of the great home court advantages, not just in the Pac-12, but in the entire country. Aaron Goldsmith, Casey Jacobson. Casey, you're just over there. The guys have covered it. This is a revenge game for Sean Miller and the Wildcats. What are you expecting in round 2 tonight?
Well, I love the second half of conference play, which is what we're at right now, because I love to see the adjustments that players and coaches make. How will Arizona attack Colorado's 2-3 zone that gave them such fits? And Alonzo Trier, Arizona's leading scorer, only had 9 points in that first matchup. Colorado is the surprise team in the Pac-12. They're led by McKinley Wright. They're freshmen. My question for him is, he's never seen McHale Center before. How will he handle it?
Let's take a look at the starting lineup. So this brings us to some of the news of the night for Arizona. Of course, you look at one of their returners, the sophomore out of Brooklyn, Raleigh Alkins, missing the first 9 games of the year because of a broken right foot. He cannot suit up. He is not healthy to play tonight. This is the second game that he's missed since essentially coming back. Dylan Smith will start in his place. How big of a loss is this for the number 11 team of the country?
Raleigh is a physical presence on the perimeter. Dylan Smith doesn't have to be spectacular, Aaron, but they need him to knock down his open three-point shots today.
Couple of 7-footers getting set to tip things off, and it's controlled right away by the Bucks. Colorado coming off a home split against the Washington schools, trying to do something very difficult, beat Arizona twice in the same season. George King lost his dribble at the elbow. Here is Wright with under 10 to shoot. Wright with now 5 to shoot. And he steps out of bounds. Colorado only 6 turnovers in their recent loss against Washington, as we say hello to Sean Miller in his 9th season out of Beavers Fall, Pennsylvania. 12-5 all time against Colorado. 13 seasons as a D1 head coach. He has never had a losing season.
I thought it was so interesting when Sean Miller called out his team after that loss in Boulder, saying that I can't reach them, they don't play hard enough, and since then they've played plenty hard, Aaron.
Well, Ayton No foul call, misses the bunny. Now both coaches somewhat vocal after that game in Boulder. Up and under, smooth job there by Naaman Wright.
And Naaman didn't score a basket in their last game against Washington. He's been up and down. He's a junior. They're going to need all hands on deck. We talked about it in the pregame show. They can't just rely on McKinley Wright, number 25, or George King, number 24. Everybody has to do their part on the road.
Alonzo Trier averaging nearly 20 a game, the junior from Seattle. Feeds Ayton, but a whistle right underneath the rim.
In Colorado in transition, kind of a semi-transition opportunity here. Naaman Wright goes to the baseline. As good as DeAndre Ayton is, I would say the one weakness that he has, Aaron, he's not a great shot blocker.
Ristic trying to show some range. You're right, that's the one thing you don't see much of out of him.
It's like the only thing he doesn't do, really, I'm serious.
McKinley Wright from straight away knocks down the three. Now this is something he has not been good at all in conference play. 3 for 22 from the three-point line in Pac-12 play. McKinley Wright is a driver first, but if you're going to dare him to shoot wide open shots, he is capable. Parker Jackson Cartwright trying to counter. Offensive rebound, Ristic. Stays here.
Aaron, rebounding will be a theme that we're going to keep our eye on. Colorado really struggled in their last game against Washington. They're playing more zone lately than I've ever seen of Tad Boyle's teams. You take a look at Tad Boyle in his 8th season. He hates the zone, Aaron. He calls it the dark side. They're playing it because it really helped turn their season around against Arizona and Arizona State.
The feed, now the kick out. Trier for three. Ayton keeps it alive. What an athletic play. He finds Dylan Smith. Smith getting the start in place of Alkins. Trier off the mark.
And Colorado defensively, as good as Alonzo Trier is, they are going to dare him to beat them from over the top. They don't want Ayton with easy touches down below.
Trier in transition, head of steam, fades away. Ristic underneath, can't keep it alive this time. Wright dribbles it out, finds George King. King heaves a three, 40% on his career, but not this time.
It's hard shooting a shot when you got DeAndre Ayton flying at you 100 miles an hour.
Hard take there by Jackson Cartwright. Back and forth we go here in the early minutes.
Well, I love it. This Colorado team is, you know, I mentioned most of them. Tyler Bay right here, number 1, McKinley Wright. They've never played in this building before. You wouldn't know it.
Boy, King really flat on that three, but he swishes it.
I like it, dissecting the three. Flat
Sorry,
shot.
I don't mean to take your job.
No. I'm just going to go get a drink of water. You got it from here, bro.
You got a halftime show to get ready for. 8-0 Colorado here in the first few minutes. Ristic, quick touch off the window. First bucket tonight for Arizona.
And Ristic doesn't get talked about a lot because he lives in the shadow of DeAndre Ayton. But Ristic, when he catches the ball, keeps it high, he's got tremendous touch for a 7-footer.
Naaman Wright, the Missouri transfer, make it a 6th straight start. Gives it up to Bay. Jump stop, then finds Ayton. Goes over Ayton. It's a gutsy move. Last time out for Ayton, 6 blocks. Quick turnover. One of the problems Arizona has had, and a lot of teams too, Aaron, it's not just Arizona, they have trouble keeping the ball in front without fouling. George King pulls up at the elbow. Too strong. Ripped down by Smith. He'll bring it across. And to Ayton. Ayton with an offensive foul. Boy, did he throw the shoulder into Bay. Took it like a champ. Under that big, it probably looks even worse than it actually is. Buffs with the early lead tonight. This is the rematch. Colorado winning earlier in Boulder, a game they never trailed Casey in large part because of their defense.
Yeah, the Buffalo's game plan versus Arizona included double teaming Alonzo Trier in all ball screens. This is the first possession of the game, and watch, aggressively all the way out to the half-court line, getting the ball out of his hands at all costs, and it worked. And then here's man-to-man pressure, but then on the first pass, they dropped into the 2-3 zone, which we've already seen, with an emphasis on crowding DeAndre Ayton, not letting him get easy looks at the basket. That didn't really work so well, but they dared Alonzo Trier. Said, all right, I know you can score, but try and do it over the outstretched hands. And Arizona helped them out at times by not getting ball reversals, just 2 passes. And Alonzo, I know you're good, but you're not in the NBA quite yet. You don't have to shoot it from 25 feet unless it's absolutely necessary. He was 2 for 8 from the three-point line, was Alonzo Trier.
A guy who averages 20 a game, just 8 that day. George King driving, pulls up his dribble.
Now, George King's got a mismatch with Parker Jackson Cartwright. I'm surprised they're not going right down low to him in the block.
Lucas Seward on the floor for the first time for Colorado, posting against Ayton. Deshaun Schwartz as well on the floor for the first time. 2 to shoot now.
An easy call right there, Aaron. Sacrificing the body. Lucas Seward, number 23, is more known as a three-point jump shooter. This is not his game, putting it on the deck.
Both teams taking a charge early. That time it was Brandon Randolph giving himself up. Touch for Aycott just on the floor for Arizona.
Colorado back in man-to-man for this possession. It might have to double team the post here.
Ayton now with 6 to shoot. Foul. That's the second suddenly on Seward, who just checked in.
Yeah, I don't envy Lucas Seward in this situation at all. He's given up height, weight, skill level, all due respect to Lucas. He did a nice job there, Aaron. You force DeAndre Ayton to the baseline, and you take away a couple of his finishing options, I should say. But then you foul him, and normally sending a center to the foul line is a good idea, but he shoots over 73% from the foul line. He's got a nice jumper.
He gets both. Tyler Bay has checked back in for Colorado and places Seward with 2 fouls. Dom Collier, the senior.
Keep an eye on him, number 15. Very good three-point shooter. Has started many games in his 4-year career in Boulder.
Schwartz now with 6 to shoot in traffic. Falls to King, the leading rebounder for the Bucks, who puts it back in.
Oh, and give Tyler Bay, number 1, some credit. He kind of cleared out the space for King to come in there.
Randolph pushes back, and it's ripped down by Schwartz. And McKinley Wright has simply been one of the best freshmen of the conference, and now foul sends it the other way.
And watch Tyler Bay kind of clear out 2 guys, and then George King comes to follow. That could have been a foul, and that would have been DeAndre Ayton's second foul. They didn't call it. George King finishes it anyway. George King's going to get a breather for all of his efforts.
Meanwhile, Ristich and Trier come back on. Ayton out for Arizona. Trier, a recent member of the 1,000-point club. Gets the high screen. Ristich trying to roll. Picked off. Huge leaps by Tyler Bay. What a freshman in terms of athletic ability.
Yeah, the idea was good, but the execution, you got to realize Tyler Bay is the best athlete in a black uniform tonight. You got to throw that ball up about 15 feet.
Collier's been so good from 3, you can see why.
56% from 3, Aaron, in just Pac-12 games. So there isn't a more confident shooter on the floor. Sean Miller talked about it to his team. He addressed it. When Dom Collier comes in the game, he's their 6th man. He is their best three-point threat.
Trier, hang time, can't finish. Pender right underneath the rim. Here is Brown in transition, hunts the baseline. So Bay looked like he almost got away with the travel. Set it up.
I can't say enough good things about Tyler Bay and his impact on this game so far. Just his energy level, his athleticism on display.
Collier hunts another front rim. Knocks off a Randolph loose ball. And a whistle at midcourt.
These two coaches, man, these guys are such big-time competitors. Sometimes I feel like they want the game more than the players do.
Trier looking for Ristich.
But we expected to see more 2-3 zone from Colorado. The last 4 possessions in a row, they've been man-to-man.
Randolph contested shot, boy, way off the mark. Collier pushing. Collier too strong off the glass, but a whistle before it's finished up. Boy, how about this score here in the first half? Colorado with an agenda to prove tonight.
Well, they came to play. The Buffs are trying to prove that the first win wasn't a fluke. They still have a lot of work to do, though.
Why create something this extravagant? Or make a back seat that feels nothing like a back seat? Why give it every feature you could want, along with a few you didn't know you needed? It's simple. You can build a car, or you can build a Cadillac. Come in now for this exceptional offer on the Cadillac CT6. Get this low mileage lease on this 2018 Cadillac CT6 from around $549 per month. Visit your local Cadillac dealer.
Not knowing exactly what something is can get us all out of sorts. But then, trepidation be darned, we do our taxes with TurboTax. Snap a photo of your W-2, and all your details are uploaded. No kerfuffle, no tears, no drama. See, nothing to be afraid of.
Intuit TurboTax.
What if I told you there's a state that has increased education funding by nearly $1.5 billion in the last 3 years? Or that the same state has led the nation in improvements in 4th and 8th grade math and reading since 2009? And opened a Teachers Academy to help college students graduate debt-free if they teach in state schools. This state is Arizona. There's much more to do, but Arizona schools are making progress.
Tens of millions of people have switched to unlimited on America's most awarded network.
Verizon?
Whoa, Vince, not yet. It's the network rated #1 in the nation by Root Metrics 8 times running.
It's totally Verizon.
Vince! No.
We can see the sign. It's see-through.
I think they can definitely read it. So it could be anything.
Vince, pull the thing up.
Wait. Look at that.
Unlimited is only as good as the network it's on. So switch to the best unlimited on the most awarded network. Now buy select smartphones like the Google Pixel 2 and get one free.
This isn't merely about money. There's a genuine attraction between us.
The Assassination of Gianni Versace. All new. Wednesday at 10 on FX. To watch previous episodes, download FX now.
Hope you can join us on Saturday. Pac-12 College Hoops basketball tips off on Fox as Utah tangles with number 11 Arizona right here inside the McHale Center. All the action begins 5 Eastern or stream it live on Fox Sports Go. Utah coming off a home sweep against the Washington Schools. Well, first half scoring. The last meeting, you can't find a first half much more lopsided than that. 45-29. In fact, Casey, Arizona's yet to lead against Colorado this year.
Oh, that is a strange statement. But hey, let's credit Colorado. This is a young team at a few spots. I know they have George King who's a senior, and I've already seen Dom Collier, who's at the foul line right now. But McKinley Wright, they found a diamond in the rough with that young man. And you know, we take a look at Sean Miller. His brother Archie Miller McKinley Wright committed to Dayton, who used to be coached by Archie Miller. Archie Miller leaves to take the Indiana job, and so he should be mad at his brother for not taking McKinley Wright with him to Indiana. It's his fault.
Good chance there's already been one phone call between the brothers about that. Ristic at the elbow. 8 to shoot now for Arizona. They've been using a lot of clock in their possessions. Jackson Cartwright dribbles out to Smith. He lets it fly.
And we talked about that in the first possession of the game, that Dylan Smith doesn't have to play perfect basketball. He doesn't have to take over the role that Raleigh Alkins, that void that he left. He just has to play his game, defend, and make his open threes.
Hang time, no finish. Putback is good.
This Colorado team shows no fear right now whatsoever. And it doesn't matter if they're a freshman, senior right now. They are attacking DeAndre Ayton and Dusan Ristic without fear of getting their shot blocked.
Nikolic has not been a big scorer this year for Colorado, but finds the bucket that time. Ayton to spin in traffic. Pulled down by Walton. Quick touch, another quick touch. Schwartz way off the mark, and it ends up falling to DeLeon Brown.
And even though Arizona is going to end up with this basketball, it's clear which team wants this basketball game more. They're to the loose balls. They're crashing the glass, the Buffaloes are. And right now, Arizona looks shell-shocked. DeAndre Ayton yet to get in rhythm. Saw that last possession defended well by Dallas Walton, the redshirt freshman 7-footer, number 35.
And keep in mind, Ayton could very well be the #1 pick in the draft. He's already set a freshman record here at Arizona for double-doubles with 13. Into Ristic. A foul on the entry.
You know that if DeAndre Ayton gets picked #1 in the NBA draft, it'll be 2 consecutive years where we have Pac-12 players selected #1. Of course, last year, Markelle Fultz. Second pick was Lonzo Ball, and I feel like if Michael Porter Jr., who was originally committed to Washington, if he'd have been healthy, maybe he goes to Washington. You have 2 years in a row where Pac-12 guys are selected 1-2. That's never happened before.
Second on the right. Well, you bring up last year's UW team, of course. A little bit of a different look over there on the Arizona bench this year. Lorenzo Romar, the longtime head coach in Seattle for the Huskies, now an associate head coach for Sean Miller.
I think an amazing pickup for Sean Miller. I think a great fit. Lorenzo Romar is a great fit with everybody. He's just as easygoing. He's been around the block a few times and a master recruiter. That's what he was known for during his days at Washington. And that's kind of what Arizona's been known for as well. So
there's some thought as to whether or not Romar would go to the NBA after he left Washington, but has found a home, at least here for now, in Tucson. McKinley Wright pretty quiet so far, just the 1-3. The playmaker for the Buffs. He gets a touch near midcourt. King fouled. That's the first on Dylan Smith.
That's tough. Dylan Smith closing out to George King with that right arm extended, and a smart basketball play. I love it. You know, I'm a nerd, right? But I appreciate when an offensive player rips through and draws contact like that. Make the defense pay for being out of position.
Wright pulls up at the elbow. Ayton was right there, and he shoots over the long wingspan.
Right here, they're going to fall back right into a 2-3 zone. This is a carbon copy of what we saw the start in Boulder. And Colorado did a really nice job in the first half in Boulder of taking care of the basketball like they're doing today. They didn't do it as well in the second half, and that's what allowed Arizona back in.
First touch, Ira Lee. True freshman born in Glendale.
Yeah, he went to Crossroads High School. He was teammates with Sharif O'Neal, which is Shaquille O'Neal's son, who's committed to play here in Tucson next season. Crossroads High School is also the same high school that Baron Davis went to way back when.
Dallas Walton off the dribble, and there is Ayton showing up.
He heard me talking mess about him not being a shot blocker and wanted to shut me up.
Smith too strong, falls right to King. King pushing. Blocking foul on the baseline. Boy, Alonzo Trier's not too pleased about that. That's his second foul.
They are calling it tight. There's no question about that. And here, that block shot, if you're Dallas Walton, you're going to have to come a little bit stronger than that. Maybe try to dunk that one. Alonzo Trier is still upset about that foul. He's like, if you're going to call that on me, you better call it when I have the ball in the offensive end.
Wright spins into the lane, gives it up to Collier.
And Aaron, the way they're calling it, if I'm in a black jersey, I drive it every time. Don't settle for a jumper. Attack the lane. Attack Ayton right now.
Now 4 to shoot. Wright taking on Ayton. Loose ball. Jackson Cartwright comes up with it. He kicks. Trier for 3. His first bucket tonight. Suddenly, Arizona down by just 4. And the McHale Center starting to come alive a little bit. Well, this is a real treat. Kevin Sumlin, the new head football coach here at Arizona, kind enough to join us here at midcourt. Kevin, is this your first basketball game here in Tucson?
The first. I've been here a week and flew back. Was in Houston this morning recruiting. And how about this atmosphere, huh? This is some serious basketball.
What made Arizona such a good fit for you?
Well, it's the right time and in the right place. You know, I was, everything that's gone on in the last year, and took a little time off. And I've been out here a couple times and knew a little bit about Tucson, a little bit about the weather. You know, kind of in between Texas and California and Phoenix. So we've been recruiting the states, and just a great fit with our administration.
But Coach, you said you're from Alabama, but you went to high school in Indiana, which is the Hoosier State, the basketball state.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Tell us about your background a little bit, where you come from.
I used to play a little bit.
Yeah?
So, yeah.
You want to take over my job and analyze this game right now?
Well, AAU basketball, so, you know, that's we went to Vegas a couple times for nationals, so, you know, just a little bit.
What do you think of DeAndre Ayton?
Unbelievable, huh? I saw and Lee that was just in there. I saw him up eating. I was hoping he was playing football.
Yeah,
he's got a great body for a young kid, for another LA kid.
Where would you put him on the floor if you could put a helmet and some pads on Ayton? Where would you put him?
I would. He would touch the ball and he would rush the passer. He might go both ways.
All right.
Trier in traffic, hanging finishes. That's 5 unanswered points by Alonzo Trier. Now Arizona within 2.
And if you get Trier in transition, he becomes so much more deadly rather than when he's just sitting and standing waiting for the ball against the 2-3 zone.
Collier runs into the double. They try to pull up. Foul. Foul on Ira Lee, his first. Back to the bucket by Trier.
And when they can utilize the full 94 feet of space, so you got Alonzo Trier coming at you, you can go either way. He's got a nice mid-range game. And right there, that could have been a foul. He asked for the foul. A lot of contact there. I love it when they let him play on, though. This isn't the football field, but I like a physical game now, Coach.
It's been a physical game. These guys are getting after it, and saw a bunch of times early in the game where they try to get to the rim. They'll let them play.
When we talk about college basketball, Coach, especially come tournament time, we always start with the backcourt play. Point guard. How good is your point guard? Well, you have a great point guard coming back. Tell me about him, and like how much have you spoken with him since you've become the new head coach here?
We met with the team first thing that day when I was announced, and then I've talked to him on the phone a couple times. I've been down recruiting just to make sure you know he got a good feel for us, and he's a dynamic player. He's young, hasn't played a lot. He's got a lot of growth potential, and I think with our staff knowing what we've done offensively, he's going to be just fine.
Jackson Cartwright up top to Trier. 3 to shoot. Can't find it this time. Walton trying to hunt it down. Buffs ball.
What is one area where you think you can maybe help him grow as a young quarterback?
Well, there's 2 things. You know, he's a nationally recognized guy now, and as a young guy, sometimes that can hurt you. Sometimes he can slow you down. But what happens is you have to help him manage expectations, media-wise, and still become the leader that he's capable of being, while continuing to grow as a quarterback and passing game that will make him an all-around player.
Now, I know in your years at Texas A&M, you did play UCLA a couple of times in a row. Is there any other Pac-12 teams and coaches that you've played throughout your years?
Well, I started my career in Pullman, Washington. I was a GA at Washington State. So,
and you left Pullman?
Come on, you don't start. So, I actually left there with the Wyoming, but I was a graduate assistant for Mike Price when he first got there, and just a great staff with Joe Tiller and Mike Zimmer. We're young coaches, so I've got a lot of familiarity with this league, and happy to be back.
Buffs trying to get some momentum back. Almost lost it there.
Nope.
They swing it around. Brown fires off the mark.
And even though they missed that shot, that was an excellent possession. Just because a shot doesn't go in doesn't mean you're not doing your job. And Colorado, though, the momentum has swung the other way. They need a stop right now.
Dylan Smith. Bay, another rebound. But both 7-footers on the floor right now for Arizona. Ristich just recently checking back in.
And Coach Miller is one of my favorite coaches in the Pac-12. And tremendous enthusiasm.
He's got a little intensity.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. No question. Have you gotten a chance to converse with him and get to know him?
I actually came out here 4 years ago and brought my daughter out here. She didn't just to look at school, and actually because I watched him just stop by the office to meet him, left him my phone number. He got back from vacation, called me. So, you know, we know each other, but we're going to get to know each other even better because his intensity level is incredible.
Foul goes on Tyler Day.
He often has to bring at least 2 extra shirts. He sweats through them at least in the first, 10 minutes.
Oh, yeah. I like the suit and tennis shoe game look tonight.
What do you wear when you coach?
Well, we don't have to wear suits, you know. I went to the T-shirt, long sleeve T-shirt. It gets kind of warm on that sideline. There's no air conditioning out there.
Well, nobody can go hoarse quite as quickly as Sean Miller. That's for sure. Aiton's points have all come at the stripe. He has just 3 so far. 4 for the line.
Aiton had a really nice game in the first meeting against Colorado. He had 26 points. He was basically the lone offensive bright spot. Today, a different story, completely out of rhythm, but still a lot of basketball left to be played.
Arizona now within 1. George King hunts another 3, and he finds it.
Emmanuel Acott, number 24 in white. He has got to know where George King is. So he has help responsibility, but only for a brief moment because he's got to be there on the catch. Right there, it was too late.
Bay gets his hand up there and swats it away. Every time they've tried to feed the post, Casey, even if they get it in there, there's no room to breathe.
That's obviously, Tad Boyle has talked with his staff and his players all week that, yes, they won the first game, and no one expected them to win the first game. But how did they do it? Not by making shots, Aaron, but by digging in on the defensive end and keeping Arizona off balance by switching man and zone as Trier misses another one.
Ristich, offensive rebound on the putback.
So Colorado does their job. They force a contested 3. It misses, but then you guys still have to deal with the 7-footers. They got 2 of them. Not a lot of programs in the country can say that.
Colorado lead cut to 2. Nikolic trying to find some space. King going up against Aiton. The sky hook. Boy, a little throwback there. That was back here in Indiana days, huh? Trier, the moves, the fadeaway. Tied game.
It's amazing. Aiton playing out on the wing, at 7 feet, just the length, athleticism. Wow.
It's a good point, Coach. A lot of times we talk about athleticism as how high a guy jumps. It's a lot more than that, as you see Aiton right here trying to wall up And that's Bay, who's having a fantastic first half so far. The unexpected guy stepping up for Colorado. So going back to Ayton, it's more than just how high he can jump. It's the fact that he's 7'1" and can guard wings side to side. His mobility is off the charts.
And his length, I mean, just taking up space, and it makes it hard. I mean, you don't see that.
We need to check his birth certificate. They say he's 19 years old. I don't know, man.
4 to shoot now. Smith pulls up. Buries it. Dylan Smith starting in place of Riley Hawkins now with 7.
And the last time Dylan Smith got this start, because Riley Hawkins, he sat out last week against Cal. Dylan Smith was 5 for 5 from the field.
Collier lost the dribble, foul. That goes against Parker Jackson Cartwright, his first. Kevin Sumlin, head football coach at Arizona. And this is fun. Thanks.
Thanks. Appreciate it, guys.
You're welcome back anytime. All right,
appreciate
Good luck this year.
Thanks.
This one has made itself very interesting. We're tied at 24.
Back here at the McHale Center, inside the student section. Coming up at the half, Donnie Marshall will join me. We won't be here at the student section. We'll be sitting over there. We'll talk about this great first half. Also, Big Ten action. Number 3 Purdue hosting number 25 Michigan. And can number 13 Ohio State remain unbeaten? I can't even hear myself right now. Aaron, Casey, back to you.
Yeah, you know, something about the banana guys with the tuba, I kind of lost something there.
If you're standing 6 inches away from a tuba horn, you're not going to be able to hear anything. And you make fun of me all the time, but when I was 8 years old growing up in Glendora, California, I wanted nothing more, and I mean this, I wanted nothing more than to be a tuba player.
You know that this is this goes to the whole country. You realize that when you say that?
Well, I realize it. I'm not ashamed at all, right? I think tubas are awesome. I think they're not called tubas technically. They're like a xylophone, like, you know, I don't know.
All right,
a sousaphone.
All right, Stanford guys.
They're a sousaphone.
Let's just stay in your lane.
All right, you're right.
We got a whole halftime to break that one down. Coming up on the 2-minute mark, Colorado back on top by 2. 3-pointer would give Arizona its first lead of the day. The lob to Ayton. His first bucket from someplace other than the free throw line.
And when I watch a play like that, you know what I think to myself? Why don't they just do that every time? Just, DeAndre Ayton, go underneath the basket. We're going to throw it up to you about the square, above the rim, and you just put it in, right? It's that simple.
Corner 3 fadeaway by Nikolic.
Right now, George King is isolated on DeAndre Ayton. You have to go to him in the block. Yeah, high-low right here.
Back to Ayton. Quick touch. Missed the bunny. And a foul call. Now they tried to do it again.
Yeah, they should go back to it until Colorado stops it right here. There's nothing you could do. You can't stop this unless it's a short pass, which we saw actually in the first maybe in the first 5 minutes. Tyler Bay reached up and grabbed that ball. First time they tried to do it, but not that time. And look, DeAndre Ayton's going to shoot 2 foul shots. I didn't think there was a ton of contact. DeAndre Ayton is out of rhythm. He should have made that shot. That should have been an and one or a 2 points, and we just run the other way. But the fouls are starting to pile up a little bit for the Buffs.
That was the first on George King. He leaves the Buffs with 8 points. Meanwhile, Ayton sitting on 7. He's been flawless from the line so far tonight. 6 of his 8. Pretty quiet first half for McKinley Wright. Leads the Buffs in points, assists, and steals.
Well, you know what's interesting about that is, you know, he's their leading scorer, but in Pac-12 play, he's averaging just 12 points a game compared to 16 in the non-conference. And why is that? The scouting reports, you know, you get a little bit more tape on a guy, and it's easier to take away his strengths.
Especially the 3-pointer. Now 6 to shoot. Collier stepping back. Nikolic has to put it up a deep 2. Wow, got it.
I wasn't surprised. Nikolic is a shooter. I haven't seen him shoot off the bounce too much, but you know what I love sometimes? In late clock situations, Aaron, you know as a player that you have to shoot it, so the thinking goes out of the window, like whether or not this is a good shot, whether or not coach will be mad if I miss it, right?
You got to.
Your head is clear, and you just pull the trigger.
Jackson Cartwright. Long rebound. Right. Pushing. Hanging. Finishes.
That is the strength of his game. Knifing through the defense and finishing. Even though McKinley Wright is only 6 feet tall, and I probably think that's a bit of a stretch. It's like you being 6'4".
3 seconds left. Ristich taking a deep 2 on the other end. That'll take us to halftime.
We're back where we started.
Arizona has led for a matter of seconds here in the first half. The first half largely dominated by Colorado, but we are tied at 30. Justin and Donnie Marshall will be with you. Join us after the break with FS1 and College Hoops halftime.
Welcome back here to Tucson at the half, all tied up at 30. Alonzo Trier, little crossover, pull-up jumper. He had 7 in that first half. Justin Kutch alongside Donnie Marshall here. And Donnie, the first meeting on January 6th went the way of the Buffaloes in Boulder. And I think people are impressed right now with how Colorado came out in this game. They led by as many as 10 early on.
Tad Boyle's fingerprints are all over this team. That means they play tough, they pursue the basketball, they don't give up. They understand how important this game is for Arizona, but they said, you know what, let's make it important for us too. And it was shown in their defense, Kutch, contesting everything. One-on-one basketball not going to work against Colorado here. Ball down low. Without fouling, you change the shot. Another one, do not foul, and then your guards come back, pursue the basketball. And then here, he deserves a SAG award for that play right there. Screen Actors Guild love him. Great charge take, but the game plan was compete, play hard, go chest to chest with Arizona. That's exactly what Colorado did in the first half.
And by the way, they weren't cheering for Donnie right there. They're introducing their new head football coach, Kevin Sumlin, here at McHale Center, and that's why they're going crazy for him. But anyway, you can actually hear what he's saying. As far as Arizona's concerned, they made their comeback. They were able to tie it up, erase a 10-point deficit. How'd they do it?
Remember, no Rawley Alkins out of the game, so now what do? Guys have to step up. That means you can't do it individually. You got to move the basketball. I think the paint is so important, not just paint scores, but the ball touching the paint. And you know as well as I do, Kutch, what that does is it collapses the defense. We talked about this in the pregame show. It allows your shooters to shoot shots that aren't under duress. And here's a nice little step back by Smith. Maybe his toe got to the paint, but you get the picture. That defense collapses. It makes it much easier. They soften up a little bit. The way this game started, Arizona, everything was east to west, meaning sideline to sideline. There was no penetration, and if there was, they were shooting shots with defenders in front of them that did a better job of adjusting, and that's what got them back into this game, Arizona.
A good response by the Wildcats to get back to even, 30-30 at the half. Arizona at one point was ranked number 3. Purdue is ranked number 3. They're in action tonight against number 25 Michigan. We'll check out the Big Ten when we come back. Welcome back. We go to Purdue, Michigan at number 3. Purdue, Isaac Haas gets positioned down low. Look at that position and goes to the hook shot, draws the foul. He would convert the three-point play, puts Purdue up by 7 in the second half. Under 2 minutes to go. Hello.
Most complete team in the country. I don't care what their ranking is, Purdue.
A 4-point win over number 25 Michigan. Penn State at number 13 Ohio State. Tony Carr rocking his man to sleep, knocks down the 3. Then it's Shep Gardner's turn. That's a deep 3. Penn State 6 of 9 from three-point land in the first half. Late in the half, under 2 minutes to go, under 5 minutes to go, Buckeyes down by 2. And Keita Bates-Diop knocks down the shot. But in that game, it is Ohio State trailing as that game is in progress. The second half of our Pac-12 doubleheader tonight comes from Pauley Pavilion. Gus Johnson, Bill Raftery have the call as Cal takes on UCLA, 10:30 Eastern right here on FS1. Justin Kutcher alongside Donnie Marshall. Second half, it's a 30-30 game. What do you see?
Well, I see Arizona better man up against Colorado because they didn't get scared in the first half. Arizona, they better get their crowd into it early in the second half.
You know, you get your crowd into it, get the new football coach involved. Kevin Sumlin's in the house. Tito Francona's here. We'll get you back to the guys after this break.
You know, Arizona's won 80 of their last 82 home games. This is the best home court advantage in the Pac-12. We've got a tied game at halftime. Welcome back courtside inside the McHale Center. Aaron Goldsmith, Casey Jacobson. Case, we know that the first meeting between these two teams in Boulder went to the Buffs. Arizona never led in that game. They've led for just barely a minute here in the first half. What have you made of what we've seen so far?
Well, Colorado came to play, and it's a surprise to me in the fact that 5 of Colorado's 10 players that have seen action tonight have never played here in the McHale Center, but you wouldn't know it by watching that first half.
Take a look at our halftime stats. 3-point field goals. Colorado on the day shooting about 40% actually. Free throws, nothing but net for the Wildcats so far. And the bench points, what do you make of that so far?
To me, it's a big story. It was a big story coming in. Colorado 10 compared to just 2. The only player that scored off the bench has been Ira Lee. And, you know, Colorado is the second leading scoring team off the bench in the Pac-12 conference. There you see the numbers. Actually, just in Pac-12 play, we hear they're first. Overall on the season, they're second. Arizona 10th. And now, without Raleigh Alkins, who is out with soreness in his surgically repaired foot, Arizona's short bench just got even shorter.
They try to lob to the big man down low, DeAndre Ayton, and once again, that has not worked out. Give and go. Left-hand roll, and no offensive foul. Oh, they do call offensive foul. I beg your pardon. That's on right, his third.
And a risky play there, I think, from Alonzo Trier. That was the right call. He was there, he was set. But Trier has 2 fouls. That's, you know, if that's a block, he's likely on the bench. Back in the 2-3 zone are the Buffs.
Dylan Smith for 3.
And he can do that. Almost 40% from 3 on the season. And he sat out last year transferring from UNC Asheville, as Arizona's off to a nice start here. Watch out for Trier in the, call this the semi-transition.
Looking for Ristich, finds Ayton. Walton doesn't really have his bearings.
He kind of turned around. Was playing defense with his back. Watch here, he gets spun around and just kind of trying to block him out almost as if that was a rebound. And Dallas Walton was 7 for 7 from the field the first time that these two teams met. He was so good. I think he was looking forward to that matchup with Ayton. And so far, he's held his ground. I mean, I know he got the foul on this play, Aaron, but he's been very impressive.
And that was a career-high 15 points against Arizona for Walton. Redshirted last year. Now, Ayton's been perfect from the stripe. In fact, 8 of his 10 points have come from the line.
Yeah, his only basket was that lob up to the square area that we saw, an easy basket.
Right, blocked. Trier gets his hand right there with Ristich. Trier taking off the window. All of a sudden, a 7-point Wildcats lead.
You have Alonzo Trier streaking down the right side and DeAndre Ayton streaking down the left. You got no chance.
Timeout called, Tad Boyle.
So this is one of the best duos in all of college basketball. What are you going to do, Alonzo Trier or DeAndre Ayton? Pick your poison.
A college basketball doubleheader Sunday on Fox. First, top-ranked Villanova battles Big East rival Marquette. Then it's action from the Big Ten. Number 3 Purdue faces off with Indiana. It all starts at 12:30 Eastern on Fox. Or stream all the action live on Fox Sports Go.
Well, you see it, Marcus Howard right there for Marquette. He is part of one of the highest scoring duos in the country. Marcus Hauser, Andrew Rousey. over 42 points a game, just edged out by Trae Young and Christian James. But then you see right in the middle of your screen, Arizona, Alonzo Trier and DeAndre Ayton, who in my opinion are the best. They might not be the best highest scoring duo, but they're the best inside-outside combination in all of college basketball. So much fun to watch.
Well, they've helped give Arizona a 7-point lead. We were tied at halftime. Bay sets the screen. George King with 8 in the first half. Now has 6 on the shot clock. Walton gives underneath right. What a finish.
Wow, that play was going nowhere. When they threw the ball to Dallas Walton with 4 seconds to go, that's your 7-foot center, backs to the basket. What is he going to do? And Trier, the mistake, staring at the basketball, gets beat. They tried to run a lob play for DeAndre Ayton. It was sniffed out by Colorado defensively.
Ristic from the elbow. Got it.
There's no secret in basketball. When you're playing against a 2-3 zone, the idea is to get the ball inside the paint via dribble penetration or pass. Right there was the pass, and then Dusan Ristic, even though he's big, he can also shoot it.
Kinley Wright driving, runs into Ayton. Bay tries to fake him. Walton with the left hand gets it to go. His first bucket tonight.
And, you know, Walton wasn't expected to be a starter. And they have Torrey Miller-Stewart, who was expected to take that spot. Well, he got injured November 30th, and so it's been Dallas Walton. And now he doesn't have to look over his shoulder, and he's developed nicely over the last month or so.
Trier taking, puts on the brakes, off the glass. Kevin Sumlin, you saw there for a brief moment, new football coach, kind enough to join us in the first half, finding a home in the student section.
Next to the banana, I saw.
Wright taken up against Ristic. Loose ball, controlled this time by Dylan Smith. And a technical foul against Tad Boyle.
Interesting to me, Aaron, not the technical foul. Tad Boyle deserved it, and I'm sure he expected it. They were in the middle of a fast break right there when the referee called that.
On that sign, of course, reference to Tad Boyle's comments after beating Arizona in Boulder earlier this month.
He was asked after the game by a reporter, do you take a little bit more satisfaction in beating Arizona, not just because they're good, but because they are under FBI investigation? One of their coaches allegedly paid for players, and he said, yeah. He said it better.
He said what the sign said.
Emphatically. Yeah. My wife and kids are watching the show, so I'm not going to go into the nitty-gritty of it. But look, he's human. Tad Boyle is one of the classiest coaches in the Pac-12 conference. He didn't mean any harm by it. In fact, he said it. He prefaced those comments with, I have a ton of respect for Sean Miller. He does a great job as a coach. But yes, I find more satisfaction.
Trier gets involved. He's got 13 on the night now. Interesting. Walton right on his hip. With the left hand. Arizona started to separate now. Ristic, who had a double-double against the Buffs in Boulder, now in double figures tonight.
He's been as consistent of a scorer throughout his career on that low block.
Ristic needed some help up. Now the second half has belonged to Arizona.
The fans have come to life. They're blocking shots. They're running on the break. This is the Arizona that most people expected.
The second half has been in large part all Arizona, the number 11 team of the country, leading Colorado 45-34. Our second half comparison, what, 5 for 5 for the Wildcats.
Yeah, last I checked, that's pretty good percentage there. Colorado did a nice job of taking care of the basketball in the first half. Already 2 turnovers early in the second half, and Arizona at home, when you turn the basketball over, they make you pay. We've already seen Trier get out in the open floor early in the second half.
Arizona, by the way, on the night 12 for 12 from the stripe. 6 to shoot now. McKinley Wright from the free throw line rattles it through. His first bucket of the second half.
He's trying to be, like, I was talking to Coach Tad Boyle about McKinley Wright, and didn't have enough, good things to say about him. He thinks he's a 4-year point guard. Their future is going to be bright with McKinley Wright. As Ira Lee creates some contact and is going to go to the foul line and shoot 2. But Tad Boyle, the head coach for Colorado, he has a track record of developing point guards. Spencer Dinwiddie is probably the best that Tad has coached now in the NBA. And that Derek White, even though Derek White was only here for 1 year, he was a transfer from Colorado Springs.
Division II.
Yeah, Division II. And he was one of the best players in the Pac-12 last year, one of the best point guards, and now playing in the NBA as well. So McKinley Wright made the right choice.
The 7-footer Dallas Walton checks out after picking up his 3rd foul. Lee gets them both. Now 14 for 14 from the line. King, the 3. Got it. King so good from deep.
Yeah, like looking at him physically, you would think that he would be more of a driver, a slasher. But when you dig into the numbers, Aaron, 31% of his total shots come at the rim. The rest of it are jump shots, either from the mid-range or from 3. So he's hunting for a jump shot.
Ira Lee off the glass.
And Ira Lee came into this game only averaging 2.5 points a game, so obviously well over his average. An active player. Sean Miller wants him to be a defensive lockdown, versatile defender. And of course, Ira wants to get buckets.
King draws contact. Watch out. Tyler Bay cleans it up. We talked about his hops earlier.
And we called their game a week and a half ago at USC, and Tyler Bay, USC has got a ton of athletes, and Tyler Bay fit right in.
Ayton fouled on the way up. That's the 3rd on King. Two shots coming for Ayton. The story of DeAndre Ayton is just remarkable. Originally from the Bahamas, moved to the States when he was a freshman in high school. 2 years in San Diego. His final 2 years in Phoenix, not far from here.
One more.
And one of the most incredible things, this is only his 5th year of organized basketball.
That's just stupid, man.
Never seriously lifted weights until this season. A kid in the Bahamas said he grew up playing 2 things: soccer and the snare drum.
Not the tuba.
Not the tuba.
The snare
he
drum.
could carry it, though.
It's like the 2nd best instrument. Tuba's number 1, snare drum number 2. That's solid. And, I've made the comparison before on air, but he reminds me of Hakeem Olajuwon, who also grew up playing soccer, but caught on rather quickly to the game of basketball.
Seward trying to find some space, and he travels.
And here's what I'm talking about, the NBA comparison with Hakeem. They both had soccer backgrounds, and they're fluid. They're 7 feet, but when you watch them run, they don't run like typical 7-footers. They're very light on their feet. And then they have elite touch, meaning from the mid-range, they have jump shots, they have jump hooks over either hand, and they can both shoot free throws.
Here it is, too strong.
That would have been awesome if he switched that, right? I mean, just a broadcaster's dream, and he ruined it for me.
You would have had to just hang him up after that. 10-point lead for Arizona. Undefeated at home this year, which is nothing all that new for the Wildcats. Under 10 to shoot now. Collier taking to the lane, the foul. That's on Randolph, his first. Sean Miller 12-5 all-time against Colorado. Arizona coming back home after a Bay Area sweep. A nail-biter at Stanford as Ayton checks out.
That was a fantastic game at Maples Pavilion on Sunday. Big-time national TV game. Stanford had a big lead early in the second half. Arizona did not budge. They got a huge turnover. Parker Jackson Cartwright turned over Dorian Pickens at half court, got them the lead. And then Ayton made a beautiful pass to Raleigh Alkins, basically sealed the game, and then they made some free throws, but showed a little bit of toughness, did Arizona on the road.
Ristic the 7-footer after his 8th rebound, bringing it across.
Yeah, that wasn't in my notes. I didn't have that on the scouting report.
See if he can do it all. Of course he can. That does it for Ristic.
And he's smiling, right? That's going to be on Dusan Ristic's highlight film. He's from Serbia. I played several years overseas, and what I know about Serbian big guys, they're super competitive and they have fantastic footwork on the block. Dusan Ristic bringing the ball up the court and then rewarding himself with the up and under move. Arizona up 12.
Leading Colorado here in the second half. Happy you're with us. Aaron Goltz with Casey Jacobson, Dusan Ristic now with 13 on the night to go along with 8 boards, trying to get a double-double for the second time against Colorado this year.
You know that Dusan Ristic is 23 points away from scoring 1,000 in his Arizona career. That's pretty cool. Probably not going to get it this game, as that ball, he missed it so badly, it went in. I'm not mad at him. Lucas Super, he can shoot the rock from deep.
His first bucket tonight.
Again, you see the double team and man-to-man. Anytime Alonzo Trier comes off a pick and roll, it is an aggressive double team, and this possession, it worked.
A rare turnover, really, for either side. Arizona just 3 turnovers in the first half. We'll step aside here from McHale.
I can't get them to play hard. I really can't. You know, we do it for a while. We do it in games, and I know we've had a win streak, but we also have a good team. We have a lot of talent. You know, a lot of times our offense can get us to the finish line, but you have to be able to play both offense and defense. And, you know, any really good team or good program, great program, you're going to have those days where the ball doesn't go in, but you rely on your effort and your togetherness and maybe your defense to keep you in the game.
Those comments came directly after their first Pac-12 loss against this Colorado team on the road in Boulder. And I love his honesty. And he knows, right, this team is talented. No one can deny that. DeAndre Ayton, Parker Jackson Cartwright, Alonzo Trier. But Sean Miller is a defensive coach, and you can't just outscore people in the NCAA tournament. That's what this team will ultimately be judged. Just as UCLA last year led the entire country in scoring, and then they lose to Kentucky in the Sweet 16 because defensively they're not buttoned up.
That's what this program has been built around under Sean Miller. Seward off the dribble, kicks. Bay, tough 2.
Just taking what the defense gives. This Arizona team, and defensively they are getting better, but they allow you to drive gaps. And right there, just pitch and catch, nothing fancy. Back screen.
Here it comes.
You probably don't even need a back screen, just throw it up, but the back screen certainly helps. It provided the runway for DeAndre Ayton to take off.
Rare points for Ayton that have come somewhere other than the free throw line.
And only his second field goal of the game.
But he's got 14 points. Collier bumped, foul. Second on Jackson Cartwright.
And keep an eye on Parker Jackson Cartwright. He's going to be the one. He's the smallest player on the floor, but he sets the back screen. And all you need is a half a step advantage. And then no one else is going to get that. How about Dusan Ristic? He's 7 feet. He just holds the ball over his head. No one can get it. Throwing it to another 7-footer where no one else can get it. That's what you call unstoppable basketball.
George King 3 of 4 from deep so far tonight. Going up against Ayton, and he's able to finish it. Second leading scorer for the Buffs. He's been paving the way tonight, though. He's got 13 now.
He's been really hot over his last 4 games, Aaron, averaging 19 points and 9 rebounds during that span, shooting the ball well from deep. I'd like to see George King try to get his team. I don't want him to force it, but he needs to turn up the heat right now.
Ayton over King. King being careful with 3 fouls.
You have to double team. You got to protect your best player, arguably, in George King. And you can't leave him on an island with DeAndre Ayton and allow 2 dribbles.
Collier getting freed up by the screen. And he puts it through, takes a hard tumble. No foul call. His first points since halftime. Lead cut to 7. Keanu Pinder getting ready to check in for Arizona. They lob to Ristic. We saw a lot of that in the first half, knocking it away, that is.
That time it was a nice backside help. And here's what I'm talking about. George King is a mismatch for anybody. And look, he took 3 dribbles. There was not a single double team. No one made him feel uncomfortable. There are a couple Buffaloes just kind of standing in the vicinity. But man, 7'1", almost 300 pounds, and that athletic, you got to make him feel you. Go right back at him. Why not?
This time it's Seward who's going up against him. Got a piece. Kenley Wright is still in the backcourt. Seward, oh boy, awkward. See if he's all right.
Take your time.
Tell just got caught up on himself.
I hope he's okay. This would have been a short 2 points if he stays on his feet. And there was no contact. That was just bad footing there, slips. Now, honestly, that would have been, I hope he's okay, but that would have been a huge basket. This is a 7-point game. That would have cut it to 5. Instead, it's a turnover.
8th on the night for Colorado. Arizona with 5. Trier taking, fighting, and 1 count it.
Is that a physical drive or what? Not sure how that's a foul on Davion Brown. He did get beat to the rim, but all the contact was created by Alonzo Trier, daring the referee to call this right here. That's straight up. Oh, there was a little bit of a touch on the arm. Now go ahead and flex your muscles, Alonzo. And that's like it's a new move, like the double flex.
You weren't doing that after granted threes?
I can proudly say that I never double flexed ever. Not one time.
Trier leading the way for the Wildcats with 16 tonight.
My muscles weren't that big. I know you were big time.
Oh yeah, that was the move. That was the Godfather. You can see Arizona 17 for 17 at the line. Walton, a little bunny.
Walton had 2 surgeries on his left knee as Ayton rattles in and out on a jumper. They're hoping that Dallas Walton can stay healthy throughout his career. He's a redshirt freshman, big body, and has already grown leaps and bounds in just the 2 months that I've watched him.
Missed 18 months in high school. Schwartz on the deck, spins, runs into Trier.
George King's got to be aggressive here.
Good move. Boy, Ayton cleared out, gave him the space to go for it.
Ayton has been, dare I say, lack of effort a little bit. He doesn't want to challenge anybody at the rim. He looks a little winded. He's going to get a break right now.
Timeout called. Sean Miller will step aside. You talk about a swing here. 17 for 17 for Arizona. Meanwhile, the Buffs have only got to the stripe 6 times. Remember, Colorado led 18-9 to begin the game. Dusan Ristic.
Yeah, Ayton has struggled even though he has 16 points, but Ristic has been the guy down low that has been getting buckets. 6 for 7 from the field in this game. 12 points, 8 rebounds, showing off that Serbian footwork that I've come to know during my career in Europe. He's got buckets either hand. He's a problem down there. What a luxury it is to have 2 7-footers that could play back to the basket. Most coaches pray and hope for one.
Think about this for a second with Ristic, by the way. We've talked about the home court advantage here at McHale for Arizona. Ristic now a senior. 59-2 in his career at home.
Is that good?
Lost last year to number 5 UCLA, 2 years ago against number 23 Oregon.
He's got 104 wins on his career, right? And the record is 110 by Caleb Tarczewski and Matt Muehlbach. So he's clearly on track to become Arizona's all-time winningest player.
Jackson Cartwright barely gets the rim.
And Parker Jackson Cartwright is the same age as Dusan Ristic, but Parker Jackson missed a lot of games due to injury. That's why he's not up there.
King with 17. Well, Jackson Cartwright 55-2 for those counting. Suddenly a 4-point game now, where both teams have hardly missed since halftime.
Defense optional. I prefer it that way.
Trier backs it out.
I'm just playing. I like defense too. Another trap here, Aaron, but not quite as aggressive.
Ayton gets a free throw. He's been perfect from there.
That was as ugly a miss as I've seen from DeAndre Ayton. I thought he hesitated, and I'm not sure why.
McKinley Wright puts it through. Suddenly a 1-point game.
And DeAndre Ayton hesitated. McKinley Wright, no hesitation whatsoever. And this looks like, the last couple of possessions looked like how we started this game, Aaron.
And keep this in mind, we referenced this in the first half for McKinley Wright. He has struggled so mightily in conference play from behind the arc, 3 for 22. He's bagged a couple of three-pointers here tonight. He's nearly matched his production from behind the arc tonight alone.
You know, the thing that's impressed me most about McKinley Wright is kind of what we're talking about right now. He is fearless. He has a short memory, meaning if he misses a couple or he has a bad game, he puts it in the back of his mind. He knows how valuable he is to this Colorado team. And I've talked about George King. I think George King is their overall most talented, best player. But if you're going to argue who's their most important player, the guy they need to really rally behind, it's their freshman point guard, McKinley Wright.
Now Wright, the Minnesota High School Player of the Year, the Mr. Basketball in Minnesota. Almost kind of falling in Colorado's laps after, as Casey talked about, decommitting from Dayton after Archie Miller went on to Indiana. George King with 17, Wright with a dozen. Colorado hanging tough. One timeout, both sides. Arizona went on a tremendous run to begin the second half. Colorado just chipping it away.
You know, we haven't heard much from Alonzo Trier. In the second half, he came out like somebody shot him out of a cannon. A couple of buckets in transition early. They've been trying to go down low to both Ristic and Ayton. I wonder right now, keep your eye on number 35. You can really score it.
Under 7 minutes to go. Ayton squares up. Jab step a couple of times. Loose ball. To Jackson Cartwright. Now 7 to shoot in the corner. Smith too strong. Here comes Wright. Almost lost it. Short corner, George King with Ristic on him.
Not sure I like this matchup here.
A walk.
Aaron, I like George King in the post, I really do, but not against Dusan Ristic or DeAndre Ayton. He would have been better off facing up right here maybe, or taking a dribble back out and attacking Dusan face to face.
Ninth Colorado turnover.
Isolation right here.
Trier almost loses it. Trying again, tucks it. Oh my goodness! How did that work?
He wouldn't be denied. That was excellent defense, and I mean that, excellent.
Here comes Trier. Quick possession, a fruitless possession again for Colorado. Dylan Smith. His third this night. He's got 3 this evening. Jackson Cartwright, his 3rd foul. Let's have that same look every time.
This Arizona team offensively is so talented. You can hold them down for maybe a couple of minutes, but they give you these spurts. How can Colorado answer?
McKinley Wright does.
And he's complaining for the foul. I like that the referees let that one go. I didn't see a ton of contact there. This is a good one.
Approaching the 5-minute mark. Ristic sets the high screen. Trier trapped. Try to find Ristic. One-hand flush.
And give Trier credit. That's 2 assists on consecutive possessions for Alonzo Trier. The first one came in transition. That time he gets double teamed in the corner. Nowhere to go. Finds Ristic.
McHale center on its feet. George King hunts the 3. No surprise. Splashes another. 4 for 5 from distance tonight.
A superb pass from McKinley Wright, who's short but still saw that cross-court pass. And then DeAndre Ayton, he's quick to the closeout, but he had his hands down. He's got all that length, and he didn't use it.
Ayton squares up against Walton. On the floor. That's the 4th on Dallas Walton. 3 of them coming since halftime. Collier comes in for Colorado. Keanu Pinder takes the spot of Ristic.
And see, Ayton, he's had his hands on his knees this entire time while the referees are trying to sort out the substitutions and all this. He looks a bit winded, but he has been perfect at the foul line tonight. Does he have enough?
Those 4 fouls going to the bench. Tyler Bay in the spot of Dallas Walton. One-on-one coming here.
It's hard for me to believe that his season high, which is obviously his career high because he's just a freshman, is only 28 points. I would feel like, that he would have a 35 to 40 point game at one point or another, especially with all the talent around him. So you can just focus on DeAndre Ayton. Getting the job done at the foul line is the big man. A lot of respect for that.
He's 12 for 12. Right, pretty pass. Bay with the bunny. All of a sudden, McHale gets batted down a little bit. Under 4 minutes.
Another double team here. You got to attack right now.
Smith, deep 3 to Bay.
I know hindsight's 20/20, but I love the dribble attack, not the shot, but a dribble attack off of that pass from the double team, Aaron. That's the best way because you have numbers.
This is one heck of a game. 3-point Arizona lead. This one's going down to the wire.
Justin Kutcher back here in Arizona. Coming up next, we've got Cal at UCLA. Aaron Holiday, he scored 10 points in all but 1 game this year. Back here at the McHale Center, we've got an exciting finish for it. Let's go back over to Aaron and Casey.
All right, thank you, Justin. Casey, break down that play we just saw.
Yeah, Arizona has the lead, but they're not going to have it much longer if they don't shore up their pick and roll defense. Watch, here's the pick, here's the roll down the basket. The defense has got to protect the rim, not worry so much about the shooter on the weak side. That is secondary. That is too easy of a finish. This is exactly what Sean Miller talks about when they're talented, but defensively they must be tied together, especially at the end of the game. Pick and roll, everybody knows how to play that play.
Tyler Bay, by the way, 9 points. 7 boards. He's coming off his first double-double of the season at 14 and 11 against Washington. Chance for another tonight. Colorado is shooting 76% since halftime. Collier to tie. Ayton above everybody, no surprise.
A good offensive possession there from Colorado, getting a 3-point shot from their hottest shooter in the Pac-12 right now. 56%.
Ayton had The body in front has 20 tonight.
They decided to switch that pick and roll that time.
Lob to Bay. Never put it on the deck.
Offensive goaltending, it's going to count anyways. And maybe they made that adjustment in the half, in their huddle. Instead of, what I drew up, the weak side wasn't there. You can switch the ball screen, but then you're going to have to deal with this mismatch. And right here, just a tip.
Back to a 3-point Arizona lead. Ristic on the floor now, fighting for space for the paint. 7 to shoot for Trier. Trier with 3 to shoot.
And that's just getting a bucket, right? I mean, nice pass.
Boy, everything from right beneath the rim recently for Colorado.
Aaron, just when you think Colorado is going to fold, I mentioned 5 of the 10 players that have played have never played here in McHale, which is the best, the toughest venue in the Western United States, maybe along with the Kennel in Spokane, Washington, where Gonzaga plays. But these guys, they're fearless.
Ristic had a steam. Foul. That's the second, Nikolic. No, Casey, you touched on this, and we've talked about it in the first half and the second half too, but I think the common fan on the couch has to wonder right now, between the size of Ristic and the size of Ayton and the mismatches that they have in the paint against these Colorado defenders, why isn't every time either one of those getting the ball?
You're looking at me, I don't have an answer for you. You're right. And that's what I talked about. Having, it's one thing to have 2 7-footers, but to have 2 that can get you a bucket, one-on-one. That's what you want, right? You talk about all the time as Ristic misses a rare free throw for Arizona.
Well, Arizona's bench is pointing one way, the official points the other.
We're going to review this. Big possession, and it's under 2 minutes, so we definitely got to go to the monitor on this. A free timeout. Heather, Dad Boyle's like, okay, no problem. Let's draw up something on the board here. Everybody catch their breath.
So you're saying you do not have a great answer as we take a look at this again?
I don't have a great answer. I have no idea who this ball is off of either. It looks like it's Ayton. Looks like it's going to be Colorado on the first glance. Every coach in America is starving for a go-to player, right? And to me, and I said this in the pregame show, still the hardest thing to guard in basketball, if you take another look at this one, the hardest thing to guard in basketball is a dominant big guy. Why? Because they change everything you do defensively, scheming. You have to double team, and when you double team, you automatically create an advantage on the offensive end, which is the whole point of offense, right? That's why we run so much pick and roll. So you can get 2 people to guard the ball. But if you have a big guy, you don't need a pick and roll. Just throw the ball down to the block, let him go to work.
Well, judging by what we just saw in the replay, we saw a couple of different angles. If Ayton's hands weren't so enormous, maybe this would be Arizona ball. But it looked like maybe he just got a piece of the fingernail almost.
You know those foam fingers that they sell at the souvenir stands? He has those actually for real hands, like first baseman's gloves, this guy. It does look like right there, off his right hand. Doesn't look like
King touch it? Kind of on the second chance there. Right there. Of course, remember the original call was Colorado ball. Ayton, by the way, tonight, 20 points, 12 of those coming from the line.
This is a tough call even with replay. Sometimes it's just a difference between a finger, an inch, a fingernail. And remember, in 2013, when these 2 teams played here at the McHale Center, the score was tied 80, and Colorado guard Sabatino Chen banked in a 3 that looked like it won it for the Buffs. They go to the monitor, and literally it was barely on the end of his fingertip. No good. They go into overtime, and Arizona wins.
By the way, worth noting, the whole reason why we're looking at this, because of a believe it or not, a missed Arizona free throw. They were 20 for 20 before that wristage miss. 8 and 10, pardon me, 8 and 12 for 12. Meanwhile, Colorado has not gotten to the line even once in this second half.
Yeah, they're just shooting 58% for the game. No big deal in one of the most hostile environments in the Pac-12 conference.
Ball stands. It is Colorado ball. 5-point Arizona lead, 1:45 left. Both teams a timeout. McKinley right across midcourt. Collier, the runner, past Trier to Ayton.
I thought they had Tyler Bay open on that dive to the rim, and they chose not to throw it.
Bay knocks it away from Ayton. Bay with 11 points, 7 boards.
He's done his part when he's been asked to guard DeAndre Ayton. He knows that he can't just go toe-to-toe with them. Right there, they call it 3 quarters. 3 quarters around, and as the ball goes in, try to get a hand on it, which he did.
Ristic checks back in, gets the ball right away. Now 8 to shoot. Loose ball. Jackson Cartwright with 4 to shoot. Has to pull up with Collier in his face, and he hits. Is that the dagger? His first bucket tonight.
Aaron Parker Jackson Cartwright was 0 for 6 last game. He was 0 for 4, so 0 for 10 in his last 2 games combined, and hits the biggest shot of the night. The senior from LA. This play was going nowhere, but that's good defense too. Everything but blocked the shot. Parker Jackson Cartwright drilling it. And now with only 56 seconds, 8-point lead. What can Colorado do? They're running out of time. They're gonna have to score quickly and might have to play the foul game.
Trying to get it in King's hand for the 3.
Yeah, King, to me, has been their best player. McKinley right in the pick and roll is obviously a good option as well. The problem is, Aaron, regardless of what happens, they're going to have to start fouling at some point. And we've already talked about Arizona from the free throw line is basically automatic.
20 for 21 tonight. Meanwhile, Colorado has gotten to the stripe just 6 times. They're 4 of 6. No timeouts left for Tad Boyle, 1 left for Sean Miller.
I know that's a big discrepancy in free throws, and head coach Tad Boyle for Colorado is probably upset with that big of a difference. But if I'm being honest, Arizona's been clearly the more aggressive in the paint. They have Ayton, they have Ristic. Trier loves to get to the foul line as well. So not a huge surprise.
In right hands, under a minute. Arizona by 8. Here comes King. Bay, baseline, spins, runs into Ayton.
You need to go quick right here. They can't hold the basketball.
Using a ton of time. Collier's got a good touch from deep. 5 seconds on the shot clock, and Ayton gets his second block tonight. Well, there's your dagger.
And I criticized DeAndre Ayton for not using his length a couple of minutes ago, closing out on George King. But this time, he used every bit of his 7'1" frame. I don't even know how long his arms are, but let's say they're 9.5 feet long. That's what it seems like right there. My goodness.
That's like a 747 flying right at you. Trier's had himself a night. It's funny, you look at Trier, has 22 on the evening. 30% of his points come from the free throw line, but of All the free throws tonight from Arizona. We haven't seen too many from Trier, just 4.
And I always talk about this. You want to be a scorer like Alonzo Trier, you got to score at 4 different levels. So you got to be able to shoot from 3, mid-range, get to the rim, but most importantly, you have to be able to know how to get fouled. And Alonzo Trier at the college level has mastered that.
Foul as Wright was taken to the rim. That's the 4th on Jackson Cartwright. This was a game that was tied 30 apiece at halftime. Both teams have come out of the second half shooting lights out. 2 shots. A little confusion. A game that the lead was lengthened immensely by Arizona and caught it the first 5 minutes of the second half. And then Colorado chipping away, but they're too much late, mostly at the free throw line.
I think it's also important to remind our audience that Arizona is doing this without Raleigh Alkins. There is Raleigh, who's out with soreness in his surgically repaired foot. And to me, he is their 3rd best player behind Trier and their best perimeter defender. They certainly could have used him on George King or McKinley Wright. But credit Arizona for getting a win anyways. It actually was pretty. Both teams play well offensively. You'll take it if you're Sean Miller.
80-71 the final score. Colorado fails to do what seems to be the impossible, beat Arizona twice in the same season. And Arizona remains undefeated at home against Colorado in the Pac-12 era. As Sean Miller's Wildcats improved to 17-4. They've won 5 in a row. The Buffs, meanwhile, now 12-9. They dropped to 4-5 in conference play. They dropped their 2nd in a row. But I think the question and the thing that we will hear probably Sean Miller harp on, and you talked about at length, is the defense for Arizona, something this program has been built around.
They gave up 56% shooting to a Colorado team that is not known for offense. This is not one of the highest scoring, most potent offenses in the Pac-12. And they were sliced and diced a couple of times, pick and roll. They didn't protect the rim very well. They allowed George King to get going. A lot to